Chapter 1. The End of an Era. In a world where the law of survival of the fittest reigns supreme, we find a cluster of planets known as the Seven Heavens. Each planet, or heaven, has its own unique aspects and life forms, all striving for supremacy and mastery in martial arts and spiritual cultivation. Humans and beasts alike use the energies of heaven and earth to transcend the shackles given to them at birth. Unknowing to those striving for a better future, there lies a deeper conflict that can end their world as they know it. At the top of this food chain lies a major conflict of ancient clans that will decide the fate of these planets' very existence. Fourth Heaven. In a regal, ethereal palace, perched atop the sacred peak of the empire, the night's silence was shattered by the sharp clang of metal and the hum of unleashed spiritual techniques. "Stop that man!" the guard captain roared, desperation thick in his voice. A group of 5 masked figures, cloaked in dark robes, raced down the grand jade-tiled hall. Ornate columns blurred past them as they moved like phantoms through the moonlit corridor. Suddenly, a swirling, shadowy blade erupted from the darkness behind them. It cleaved through the pursuing guards in a single, soundless arc, their bodies collapsing before they could even scream. At the front, the group's leader, his breath ragged, his halberd dripping with blood. He came to a halt before a massive crystal pillar embedded in the center of the hall. "It's not here," he gasped. In frustration, he slammed his fist into the pillar. The ancient crystal cracked and then shattered, as if it were brittle wood instead of enchanted stone. "Damn it," he muttered. "If the Heaven Supremacy clan truly manages to restore the primordial tome, then the 7 heavens will be forced to kneel before them, and we cannot allow that to happen." The group fell silent. The weight of his words was heavier than the blood that soaked their boots. A masked woman with flowing silver hair stepped forward. "Maybe the intel we received was false," she said softly. "Unlikely," the leader replied, narrowing his eyes. "The Heaven Supremacy clan has already begun annexing smaller clans. They're preparing for a power upheaval. If they don't possess the tome, where is their confidence coming from?" He turned to face the others. "They would never make such bold moves that risk angering the 6 guardian clans, unless they had something that tipped the scales." The air grew tense as the sound of armored boots echoed faintly in the distance, drawing closer. "The Supremacy Legion," the silver-haired woman muttered. "We have to decide. Do we continue the search or escape while we still can?" The leader clenched his jaw. "If we stay, we die. Even if we find the tome, we won't be able to escape easily unless we leave now." He turned to a man slightly shorter than him, whose mask had been stained with crimson. "Brother Lao, I'm entrusting you with the kids, and with our final message." "No, wait, don't do this," Lao Shenwu shouted, stepping forward. The leader's expression softened for just a moment. His voice was calm. "We knew the risks. The message must reach the others. The balance of the 6 guardian clans depends on it, and they need time to prepare. We'll stay and buy you the time you need to escape, even if it costs us everything." Lao's hands trembled, but he nodded. Behind his mask, tears welled in his eyes. The leader gave the man a ring used to hold items in a separate space. "Your spatial ring?" Lao Shenwu's hands trembled as he took it. The leader smiled through his mask. "The prophecy is the only thing we can hope for. We failed to find the primordial tome, and it's likely the Heaven Supremacy clan has unlocked its power." The silver-haired woman hugged Lao Shenwu. "Take good care of Mingar and little Tian," the woman said to Lao, her voice almost a whisper. Suddenly, the heavy double doors at the end of the hall burst open. A man clad in golden armor etched with crimson runes stepped into the moonlit hall. Each step he took pressed down like a mountain, his aura thick with disdain and contempt. Behind him, soldiers lined up in disciplined formation, but none dared move. This was his battlefield alone. Did you really think a few masked rats could sneak through my palace and take what isn't theirs? He said coldly. My Heaven Supremacy clan isn't a place you can come and go as you please. The leader of the masked group stepped forward calmly. We thought we would pay our brother clan a visit to exchange pointers, he replied in a neutral tone, neither submissive nor arrogant. The armored man's eyes narrowed. Kong Shen, don't insult my intelligence. Only one man uses that shadow void technique. A low chuckle escaped the leader's lips. He reached up and removed his mask. His face was sharp and refined. His eyes were black like the abyss, and small twinkling stars shone deep within them. He radiated the calm of someone who had stood at the edge of death many times before. I didn't expect your divine sense to still be locked onto me after all this time, Kong Shen said. Your cultivation must have improved since our last encounter. Improved? The armored man laughed darkly. Since you'll all die here, I'll offer you a gift on your journey to the underworld. He raised one gloved hand. His golden armor began to hum with power as dark, thick, liquid-like chi slithered out of his pores, writhing like serpents in the air. I've transcended the limits of our bloodline. I've broken through to that realm, and with the power of the primordial tome, my celestial physique has been reborn. None of you are my match. The masked group stared at him in silence, but in their minds a cold realization settled. So, the rumors were true. The armored man cracked his neck, stretching his arms. Come at me together. I don't have time to waste. Lao Shenwu clenched his fist. Is the Heaven Supremacy clan really going back on the oath made with the Guardian clans? The gold-armored man chuckled. Oaths are made in ink, but only power can seal. The gold-armored man's aura poured out of him, no longer restrained. What qualifications do the Guardian clans have to enforce such oaths? He sneered. Kong Shen stood forward. Borrowed power isn't true power. Such unearned power comes at a price. That is the heavenly way, Kong Shen said. Void energy is circulating around him as he spoke. The golden-armored man sneered. Behind him, his legion stepped aside, forming a perfect arc around the hall, confident that not even 5 elite cultivators could challenge their commander. Kong Shen's eyes narrowed as the oppressive qi in the room turned thick and suffocating. The man before them was no longer the arrogant son of a noble clan. He was a monster, forged by ancient power. Brother Lao, leave now! Kong Shen shouted as he flew up in the air, blocking any potential pursuers. Lao Shenwu immediately headed for the exit, flying at full speed. He could only look at the 5 silhouettes of his comrades in the distance. As they became smaller and smaller, tears covered his eyes. The man in golden armor didn't seem bothered that Lao Shenwu escaped. That rat won't escape far. We will pay your Kong clan a visit, shortly after we show you ants the immensities of heaven and earth. He turned to look back at Kong Shen. I have been waiting for this day for 30 years, Kong Shen. But if you don't attack together, there won't be any satisfaction. The others circulated their ki, their auras spiking, but they didn't dare to make any careless moves. The golden-armored man retrieved his spear from his back. If you don't make your move, the golden warrior growled, his body glowing faintly. Then I will. Chapter 2. The Kong Brothers' Seventh Heaven, Iron Root Town. What happened next, Uncle Lao? Asked a black-haired youth, eyes dark like the abyss and starry like the night sky. Uncle Lao chuckled as he took a sip from his jade wine cup, watching the fire with calm amusement. That's for you to find out, once you've finished your body-tempering routine, he teased. A soft groan came from the nearby bed, where a thin, pale boy lay wrapped in a patchwork quilt. His silver eyes were dim, but hopeful. "Big brother, Tian, hurry up and finish your training so Uncle Lao can finish the story," the boy called out weakly. "Fine, fine," Tian replied with a grin, stretching his arms. "But, Uncle, don't go back on your word again." He turned and jogged off toward the courtyard's edge, where a worn stone training pillar awaited him. Lao watched him go, a quiet smile curving on his lips. "Brother Shen, he takes after you in every way," he murmured to himself. Then came a more hesitant voice. "Uncle Lao." Lao turned to see the sickly youth, Kong Ming, looking up at him with uncertain eyes. "What is it, Minga?" he asked gently. "Do you think I'll never stop being a burden to you and Big Brother?" Minga's voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Lao set his wine aside and walked to the boy's bedside, kneeling beside him. He ruffled the boy's hair softly, chuckling. "A burden? The only burden here is this old man," he said lightly. "I was in charge of protecting you boys, and because your uncle is lacking, you ended up in this state. And because of our identity, I have to avoid using my resources aggressively. Once I make a trip to the upper heavens, I'll return with high-grade treasures and medicines. They should help your recovery greatly. Your body is still healing, everyone's Tao path is different, and you'll succumb to heart demons if you aren't patient with yourself." Minger looked away, ashamed. "I know what you're thinking," Lao continued. "You were born with a weak physique, struggling just to stand, while your brother was blessed with monstrous strength that would make even emperors envious." The boy nodded silently. "You must think the heavens are unfair, don't you?" Lao asked. "I don't need to be blessed," Minga whispered. "Just strong enough to be of use." Lao sighed, looking up at the drifting clouds. "Your brother inherited the power mostly from your father's line, but you're something different. I think you're a rare mutation between two powerful bloodlines. I refuse to believe any child of Kongshen and Yusuelan would be ordinary." Uncle Lao sighed as he refilled the wine in his jade cup. "If it wasn't for that incident, you probably wouldn't be in this state. Your 5-year coma cost you a lot of precious years of development." He shook his head dejectedly, taking another sip of his wine. Minger looked up in surprise. It was rare to hear Uncle Lao speak of the past. "Uncle Lao, I don't remember our parents, but I know Big Brother Tian misses Mom and Dad." Uncle Lao nodded. "That boy also carries a lot of his emotions inside. That's why it's important for you to get better and share your brother's burden. There are a lot of powerful forces moving in the upper heavens, and the Guardian clans need my help," he said, gulping another mouthful of wine. "This old man won't always be here to protect you." Minger swallowed hard. "But I'm already behind a lot of kids. All I've done since waking up 3 years ago is read and lie in bed. I can't imagine catching up to Brother Tian. I've tried to train my body a little, but it often leads to bone breaks or minor injuries. I've finally been able to move my legs, but—" Kong Ming hesitated, his eyes becoming moist. "But if I break another bone or get injured, it will set me back months of progress. I don't know what to do anymore." Uncle Lao's eyes shone with resolve. "This condition won't last forever. It's subtle, but you are gaining strength, and this old man will make sure you reach peak condition soon." Kong Ming squeezed the sheets with his little hands. "This Kong believes in Uncle Lao." Lao nodded. "Your brother's progress has been slowed, but he's already ahead of most kids in town. He's opened 31 meridians already out of the 36 required to complete the body-tempering realm. And that's with me trying to slow him down, he said, smiling wryly. The body-tempering realm, Lao continued, his tone becoming instructional, is not just about strength. It's about strengthening the bones, muscles, and most importantly, meridians. Only once all 36 are open can one begin circulating spiritual ki and step onto the true path of cultivation. In your case, your bones, muscles, and meridians are starting from a point less than 0, so it will be tough. But if you can overcome this, you will have a will far stronger than other kids your age. Minga clenched the edge of his blanket, his fingers shaking. Lao met his gaze. The world is ruthless. Minga, every creature, every clan, every cultivator fights to survive. But it's not the ones with the best talent who reach the peak. It's the ones who never yield. Let your limits forge you into the blade that cuts through the heavens. You will need a stronger will for the times of hardship that will inevitably come. He sighed. For a moment, the boy was silent. Then, deep within, something stirred. His blood warmed, his chest tightened. I will make this useless body submit to my will. And then the heavens. Seeing the fire return to Minger's silver eyes, Lao smiled. The moment passed as footsteps echoed across the courtyard. Kong Tian returned, dragging a wild boar over his shoulder. His tunic was soaked with sweat, and his arms bore the deep red flush of overexerted muscles. Tiana, Lao called, how's your progress with the profound fist technique? Have you reached the completion stage? Tien smirked. See for yourself. He walked to the crumbling courtyard wall, focused his breath, and struck. His knuckles glowed faintly black as his fist slammed into the stone. Crack! The wall shuddered. A web of fractures spread outward from the impact point. Even the fire flickered from the sudden release of force. Lao raised an eyebrow, impressed. Not bad. You're able to circulate large amounts of physical ki with your strikes. Kong Tian nodded. With this technique, no one of the same cultivation should be my match. Once I get strong enough, I won't let anyone bully me or my brother ever again. Tien sat beside his brother, wiping sweat from his brow. Minga beamed at him. That's why I've made a decision, Lao said. I'll be leaving for a short time to find an old acquaintance who might know how to treat your brother's condition and provide higher-grade medicines than the ones here. The boy's eyes widened. Now that your brother is strong enough to go to the forest for food, I know I can trust him to look after you while I'm gone. But before I go, I've arranged something. You and your brother have both been accepted into Iron Root Martial School. It's not much, but it's the first step to getting an understanding of this vast world. Next year, the Cloud-Seeking sect will host its recruitment trials, and it will give you guys a launching pad to seek the greater world outside of this old man's protection. If I don't return before the Cloud-Seeking sect trials, you can follow your brother into the sect. Kong Tian's eyes widened. Uncle, what exactly is a sect, and how is it different from a martial school? Uncle Lao stroked his beard as he organized his thoughts. A martial school is primarily for children, usually 16 and younger, and teaches the very basics of martial arts and cultivation. They don't offer any long-term resources, techniques, or living quarters to their students, but it is a great starting point without a huge commitment. The boys' heads nodded in understanding as the campfire glow reflected on their focused faces. Uncle Lao continued. A sect is closer to a society that is also a school where people can live their whole lives. They create their own martial techniques and have advanced legacies. Sects sects also have military power that they can exercise in the outside world. The power of sects is divided by 7 stars, with a 1-star sect being the strongest. Uncle Lao's face turned serious. Boys, you must remember not to stay in any sect too long, or it will hold back your growth in this lower heaven. I truly believe in the talent you boys have, and being complacent will limit your growth. The boys nodded. Then the moment turned quiet. Minga looked up again. Uncle Lao, you promised to finish the story. Lao's eyes darkened, the fire's glow dancing in his irises. He nodded slowly. So I did. He gazed into the flames, and the courtyard seemed to fade away. After I escaped, the rest of our team stood alone against the golden demon of the Heaven Supremacy clan. He was no longer human in any true sense. He had used the primordial tome to rebirth his physique. His body was a fortress, his qi corrupted and deep. They fought with everything. Your father, Kong Shen, unleashed his shadow void collapse, a technique that devours light and matter itself. It cracked the palace, distorted the space. For a moment, I thought it was enough. But the Golden One emerged from the void, missing an arm, laughing. Clever trick, he said, as his flesh regrew before our eyes. His vitality was beyond comprehension. One by one, our comrades fell, not from lack of caution, but because the enemy they faced had surpassed the boundaries of this world. He wielded a celestial inheritance, his body forged anew. Your father was the last one standing, bloodied, exhausted, but unbent. Even from afar, I could feel his will burning. Lao's voice slowed. His hand trembled slightly. Then the Golden One raised his hand and he stopped. Minga and Tian leaned forward. And? Tian asked. Lao shook his head slowly. That's where my divine sense ended. I was too far. I saw the explosion, but not what came after. The next time I returned, the palace was gone, collapsed into a pit of scorched jade and fractured space. The Heaven Supremacy clan claimed it was a forbidden technique backlash. But your father's and mother's soul jade was never shattered. The fire popped. Minger's breath caught in his throat. Then he might be... Lao's expression was unreadable. Hope is a dangerous thing, little ones, he said quietly. It can lift you to the stars or shatter you when you fall. In the future, you'll be strong enough to leave this small town and begin your own adventure. In order for you guys to truly grow, this old man must let the martial world temper your wills. Above them, the clouds passed over the moon. A faint wind rustled through the trees as silence settled over the courtyard once more. Get plenty of rest, boys. I'll see you in the morning. To be continued. Author note. Please give feedback on the stories in comments. Chapter 3. The Cripple and His Mount. Morning sunlight trickled through the holes in the worn roof, casting slanted rays across the shabby courtyard where weeds grew between cracked stone tiles. Kong Tian stood at the water basin, shirtless, his body glistening with sweat as he finished his final round of morning strikes. Each punch echoed with strength and discipline, his knuckles calloused, his breathing steady. Inside the single-room shack, Kong Ming coughed lightly, his frail form bundled under patched blankets. Despite his pale complexion and thin limbs, his silver eyes remained sharp and clear. A steaming bowl of rice soup was set beside his bed. You didn't sleep again, did you? Kong Tian said, stepping in, wiping his face with a cloth. I wanted to hear Uncle's story again, Kong Ming replied with a soft smile. I was hoping he'd tell us more about Father. Kong Tian's expression faltered for a second before he sat beside him and ruffled his brother's hair. He'll tell us once he's back. One day we will go into the outside world and seek those answers ourselves." Kong Ming nodded. Just then, the wooden door creaked open, and Lao Shenwu stepped in, dressed in a long traveling robe and carrying a small satchel. "Uncle, you're leaving today?" Kong Tian stood and bowed respectfully. Uncle Lao nodded, his usual carefree air subdued by a grave seriousness. "I've delayed it long enough. If there's even a chance someone out there can help Minger awaken his meridians and improve his condition, I have to take it." He knelt beside Kong Ming, placing a warm hand on his forehead. "While I'm gone, listen to your brother and be brave. I've recommended you both to Iron Root Martial School. It's not a grand sect, but it will teach you the basics, enough to prepare you guys for the cloud-seeking sect tryouts next spring. Your body may be weak, but your will is strong. Never forget that." He turned to Kong Tian, resting a hand on his shoulder. "Protect your brother, stay low, and don't let the looks or words of others shake your spirit." Kong Tian nodded, clenching his fists. "I couldn't protect Mom and Dad, but I won't let anything happen to my family ever again," Kong Tian said inwardly. With a final glance at the boys, Lao Shenwu turned and left the courtyard, his figure slowly swallowed by the morning mist rising over Iron Root Town. Later that morning, Kong Tian helped his brother into a makeshift harness, stitched together from strips of cloth and faded leather straps for demon beast hides, then carefully hoisted him onto his back. Their shabby courtyard resided on the northern outskirts of town. Iron Root Town is considered a mid-tier town, with a bustling population of 200,000. The rich scent of wood and iron wafted through the air from the surrounding spirit iron ore caves and forested mountains surrounding the town. The road into town was dusty, and their appearance drew quick, mocking eyes. "Isn't that the Kong brothers who live on the outskirts of Iron Root Town? Look at them, beggars trying to enter a martial school. Did that cripple on his back come to polish floors? I heard those kids are the bastard children of bandits," whispered a voice. "They really think they'll become cultivators? I bet they don't even have a spiritual root," a villager sneered. "Hey, Kong Tien, I have some poop that needs shoveling later," a villager shouted. Laughing echoed. Kong Tian kept walking, jaw clenched, his eyes locked forward, every insult striking a nerve beneath his calm exterior. He could take it, he always had, but the moment someone insulted his brother. Why do these villagers feel the need to harass us every chance they get? Kong Tian thought as he clenched his fist, withholding his anger. A rock suddenly struck the ground near his foot. "Maybe you should sign up for the School of Cripples instead." A boy jeered from the wall of a nearby shop. Laughter echoed around him. Kong Tian stopped. "Don't!" Kong Ming whispered, tightening his grip on his brother's shoulder. But it was already too late. Tian's body dropped low, and, in a flash, he was in front of the jeering boy, collar in hand. He slammed the boy against the wooden wall, which was enough force to rattle the shop sign. "You think you're funny?" Tian's voice was low, sharp. His dark eyes with starlights burned with fury. "Say one more thing, and I'll make you eat those teeth you seem tired of having." The boy stammered, face pale. Behind him, the others scattered. "Tian, let him go," Ming said from his place on his brother's back, though his voice didn't carry softness. "He's not even worth a single keyless breath." Tian held the trembling boy for another second before releasing him with a shove. "You insult him again," Tian growled, "and I'll show you what a cripple's brother can do." He turned, lifting Ming higher on his back. His expression softened the moment he met his brother's eyes. "You okay?" "Better than you," Ming said with a wry grin. You almost broke the poor idiot's spine." They shared a moment of rare laughter. "Brother, my body has been getting stronger. I can even walk a little with this walking cane Uncle Lao gave me." Kong Tian smiled. He knew that Minger's words were to raise their morale after receiving ridicule from the townsfolk. The Iron Root Martial School gates loomed ahead. Though far from grand, they were still a symbol of power in this humble town. Several new students gathered around, forming small groups, most already in clean robes, some laughing as if they'd already succeeded in graduating. Iron Root Town is ruled by the top 3 clans: the Fang clan, the Chen clan, and the Bai clan, also known as the 3 great families. The families often watched the opening ceremony of the younger generation to see if there was anyone who may threaten their position in the future, as well as poach any young talent to their family's side. When Kong Tian stepped onto the martial school's courtyard carrying his brother, silence spread like a ripple. A few boys laughed under their breath. "What, bringing your luggage to school?" Kong Tian's eyes flickered coldly. "Better luggage than trash," he snapped back. "Tian, put me down. I can speak for myself." Tian hesitated, but obeyed. Ming stood on trembling legs, using his brother's shoulder for balance and a cane. "You guys love to call me a cripple, like it's a curse," Ming said, voice clear and sharp. "But if this cripple one day surpasses you, what would that make all of you?" The silence grew heavier. No one laughed. The boy was frail, and despite his 1.6-meter figure, they felt the determination of a giant. A tall, muscular instructor approached, arms crossed. His gaze swept over the 2 brothers. "Are you here to enroll?" "Yes," Tian said, standing straight. The instructor paused for a moment, eyes lingering on the makeshift harness. Then he nodded. "We don't turn people away, even if they start from the dirt." Kong Tian's fists loosened slightly. "But remember," the instructor added, "this is where you shed weakness, or get buried by it." Kong Tian looked at his brother, then back at the school beyond the gates. "We're not here to be buried," he said. "We're here to rise." Chapter 4. Punches Beats Books. "Line up, you little brats, and get ready for a grueling 9 months." The instructor's gruff voice cut through the morning air like a blade. His stern gaze swept across the courtyard as the students clumsily scrambled into formation, some bumping into each other, others nervously adjusting their clothes. "I am head instructor Fang Duan. You may call me Senior Fang," he said, hands clasped behind his back. "This year, only 30 out of the 200 students standing here will qualify for the Cloud-Seeking Sect's admission exam next spring. This school exists to teach you the basics of cultivation and provide the knowledge needed to survive in a harsh world where the strong prey on the weak. This school has a few rules that you must follow, or you can expect disciplinary action. First rule: no killing of your fellow students, and killing taking place on school grounds will be met with harsh punishment. Fighting is permitted as long as no one is crippled. If you can't stand each other, issue an official death match to be held in the sparring arena. The school won't interfere. Second rule: you must register with the information hall whenever you're taking a leave of absence longer than 3 days. Third rule: all books, scrolls, techniques, and items belonging to the school must be kept on school grounds unless given permission from a senior staff member. Fourth rule: your backgrounds mean nothing here. In these walls, you are all dirt. Only after being watered are you qualified to be considered an ant before me. Fang Duan's aura spiked, releasing subtle pressure on the students and spectators. Did I make myself clear? A hush fell over the courtyard. The weight of his words settled like iron on the students' shoulders. They all slowly nodded. Fang Duan nodded his head in approval. Good. Graduation is at age 18. You must obtain a minimum of 8th stage body tempering. Anyone who hasn't by this age is to be expelled and will not receive the graduation resources. Those of you who manage to be accepted into the cloud-seeking sect need not worry about anything regarding the academy. The minimum requirement to qualify for the cloud-seeking sect is to be under 16 years old and to have reached at least the 7th level of the body-tempering realm. Murmurs rippled through the ranks. I will divide you into 4 groups of 50 based on your test results. Now follow me to the exam hall. We'll begin with the knowledge exam. Don't worry, this isn't a test you can fail. It's simply to assess your current level. Kong Ming's face brightened instantly. This was one of the rare moments when he could shine. Ever since he could read, Uncle Lao had brought him piles of books on cultivation theory, martial philosophy, and demon-beast zoology. That constant reading had not only sharpened his mind, but also preserved his sanity during years of bedridden solitude. Kong Tian, on the other hand, looked like he'd swallowed a bitter pill. He was known as a gifted martial talent, a natural in the Tao of the body, but he had one glaring weakness, his complete disdain for book learning. Stupid exam, but I won't let something like this stop me, he muttered, clenching his fists. Maybe Minga can give me some pointers. He looked at his little brother with newfound resolve. Once seated in the large stone hall, the disciples were handed exam books with 3 sections: Demon Beasts, Cultivation Theory, and Martial Tao. Complete each section at your own pace, said one of the instructors. After everyone finishes, we'll announce the top 10 for each category. Begin. The atmosphere became tense as dozens of students began scribbling furiously. Instructors paced the aisles with hawk-like focus to prevent cheating. Any promising recruits this year, Senior Fang? Asked a seductive-looking female instructor, her voice smooth like honey as she glanced over the candidates. There are a few, Fang Duan replied with a sly grin. But why would I reveal the diamonds I've found to the Chen clan so easily? You're so cold, Brother Fang, she teased, placing a playful hand on his shoulder. Before Fang Duan could reply, a voice tugged at his attention. Senior, I'm done with the exam. He turned, blinking in surprise. Only 30 minutes had passed. A 12-year-old youth stood before him, his long brown hair cascading neatly down his back in a ponytail style. He had refined features, calm eyes, and the scholarly bearing of a noble, but there was a subtle ferociousness hidden just beneath the surface. Fang Duan nodded his head in approval. Not bad. What's your name? Chen Kai, the youth said, cupping his fist respectfully. Chen, the Chen family's new genius, huh? Fang Duan raised an eyebrow. Seems the rumors were true. He glanced at the seductive female instructor, Chen Jingxi. You dare look for other talents with such a rough gem already in this cohort. Chen Jingxi chuckled. Her large bust appeared to be on the brink of breaking through its mortal shackles. Instructor Fang Duan grinned. You show similar promise as my son Fang Longwei when he was your age. In the span of a few breaths, 2 more disciples stepped forward. One was a frail boy, using a stick to support himself, Kong Ming, and the other a tall girl with sharp, dignified features and daggers on her back. Looks like the cripple you all mocked has more than just willpower, Fang Duan said loudly. The students who mocked Kong Ming earlier face flushed from embarrassment. Head instructor Fang Duan's gaze landed on the youth's wobbling legs. You're Kong Ming, correct? How old are you? The boy bowed slightly. 11, the boy replied. Chen Kai glanced at Kong Ming. His face showed a rare sense of surprise. This one isn't without merit despite his appearance, Chen Kai thought inwardly. Fang Duan, gently put his hand on Kong Ming's shoulder. If your body doesn't allow you to cultivate, you should consider joining my Fang family. They aren't the nicest bunch, but they value talent and will be able to provide you a stable living. You could become a medicinal or formation expert, given your talent for comprehension. Kong Ming's silver eyes widened. He cupped his hands and bowed awkwardly with a cane in hand. Thank you for Senior's kind intentions, Kong Ming replied with a bright smile, his first genuine one in a long time. For once, someone saw his value outside of pity. But for now, I want to pursue the martial Tao before I turn my back on it. He currently has no ambition outside of being able to walk and possessing a sturdy body that won't be a burden to his brother and uncle. Besides, becoming an expert in the Tao of medicine or formations never stimulated his mind. His uncle seemed wary of teaching him medicine. He rarely chose medicinal books when giving books for him to read. 2 hours later. Time for the results, an instructor announced. The top 10 scorers are as follows. 10th, Wulong 9th, Bai Zutian. 8th, Fang Hong. 7th, Chen Yuan. 6th, Fang Zhu. 5th, Bai Yuyin. 4th, Chen Yue. 3rd, Kong Ming. 2nd, Naran. 1st is Chen Kai. Chen Kai smirked. Arrogance was clear in his eyes. Gasps and sighs filled the room. The spectators' whispers filled the room. 3 out of the top 10 are from the Chen clan. Looks like the Chen clan may finally surpass the Fang clan in the younger generation. The physical exam is next, Instructor Fang barked. Follow me to the southern courtyard. The students walked through a broad stone hallway with paintings on each side. As the students passed beneath the ancient paintings of stern old figures, whispers broke out. That's Elder Bai. Look, it's Bai Yuyin's uncle. She's the current prodigy of the Bai family, isn't she? At the rear of the group, Kong Tian walked slowly, supporting Kong Ming with a wooden cane on his shoulder. I may have scored average on the knowledge test, but the physical exam is where I show them who I really am, he muttered, tightening his jaw. The southern courtyard was majestic. 2 towering bronze dragon statues stood guard at the entrance. To the right were training puppets, to the left a sparring stage, and in the center a towering jade totem with 6 glowing tears. This is the 6th-path divine jade totem, Instructor Fang announced. It measures your raw physical strength and martial foundation. Most of you will barely light up the first section, but I hope some of you dragons prove me wrong. There are 6 sections representing each realm, and each section has 9 levels. Since all of you are body-tempering cultivators, I don't expect anyone to light up the higher sections. To take the test, launch your strongest attack at the totem pole using your strength and physical ki. After everyone has taken a turn, we will announce the top 10 strongest in strength among this year's crop. Just remember, if you're older than the others, don't get arrogant about your strength being higher. In this world, talent is not easily measured by arbitrary tests of strength. While cultivation is important, how wisely you use your power can play a massive role. He glanced over to Kong Ming, his gaze cut like a sharp sword across the students. Who's first? Silence. Absolute silence. How about the proud Lady Bai? He called with a grin. Bai Yuyin cupped her hand slightly at the instructor's suggestion. Bai Yuyin stepped forward. She was a cold beauty. Her white and blue martial dress fluttered as she tied back her long hair. Her long legs enhanced her noble aura. With a low battle cry, she leaped into the air and twisted, her heels slamming into the jade totem with the force of a falling meteor as her leg made contact. Ketach. The first level of the totem lit up. 1/4, half, no, slightly more. 6th level of body tempering, an instructor called. A yellow glow stopped at just over half of the first section, signifying her ranking. Fang Duan laughed. Bai Yuyin, your arrogance isn't without reason. The past few years have given rise to top talents, greater than any of the previous generations, so be sure to work hard and don't be too arrogant after minor success. Bai representatives in the audience all had a smile of confidence. The crowd began to discuss it fervently. 6th stage at age 12, as expected of the Bai clan, one of the 3 great clans of Iron Root Town. But the Fang clan is probably still in the lead position among the younger generation. Fools, geniuses have to live to maturity to make a difference. As of right now, the Chen clan is the wealthiest, a scholarly townsman barked, tone dripping with superiority. Any more volunteers? The announcer called out. Let me go next, said a deep voice. All eyes turned. A tall boy with black eyes, black hair with silver streaks, stepped forward. Kong Tian. His shoulders were broad, his arms roped with muscle. His hands bore the scars of endless training. He approached the totem. Kong Tian. The crowd gasped at the appearance of Kong Tian. Aren't those the street brats that live on the outskirts? How were they able to get a recommendation to the academy? Oh, great! We have a cripple and his mount, attempting to become cultivators. Kong Tian ignored the comments and jeers, and steadied his breathing. Fang Duan's eyes gleamed. Let's see if this one's a dragon in hiding. Kong Tian entered a wide horse stance. His aura shifted. He twisted his waist, his whole body generating momentum. Profound fist technique. Crack! His fist struck the totem with a thunderous crash. The ground trembled. The air was still. 1/4, half, 3/4. Wait, no, it can't be. To be continued. Thank you for enjoying my book. Don't forget to comment and follow to not miss future updates. Chapter 5. Vows Beneath the Moonlight. The courtyard of Iron Root Martial School fell into a stunned hush. The divine jade totem blazed with 9 distinct layers of light, each one radiating with growing intensity. It stood like a silent monument to what had just occurred. Kong Tian stepped down from the platform, the faint hum of physical qi still dancing around his skin. He didn't smile. He didn't puff his chest. He simply turned and walked back to Kong Ming. Kong Ming looked up at him with wide, astonished eyes. The crowd broke out in an uproar. Incredible! 9th level of body tempering at age 13, someone shouted. He's been this strong while not showing it this whole time. Whispers turned into excited chatter as the watching crowd, dozens of townsfolk, junior disciples, and elders, began to buzz. Which clan does he belong to? None. I heard he lives in a crumbling courtyard on the edge of town. Such talent. What a waste, without a proper family to nourish such a treasure, a voice murmured in the audience. In the distance, seated atop a shaded pavilion, representatives from the 3 great families of Iron Root Town exchanged glances. Patriarch Chen Wei of the Chen clan stroked his beard with narrowed eyes. Interesting. I thought for sure today's glory would have belonged to Chen Kai. His eyes sparkled when he looked at Kong Tian, as if he found treasure. Bai Ronghua of the Bai clan leaned in. That child, if he can be persuaded to join one of us, the sects would elevate our clan's importance. Fang Tishan, the youngest elder of the Fang family and a known martial enthusiast, grunted. He doesn't belong to anyone yet, but he'll make waves. I must inform the Fang to acquire this wild dragon. Their gazes lingered on Kong Tian for a long while, filled with the unspoken language of ambition. Instructor Fang Duan, the announcer barked. Next student, Chen Kai. Chen Kai approached the stage as he passed by Kong Tian. He paused in acknowledgement. You're powerful, but the road of cultivation is long and full of surprises. I look forward to the moment we see who is truly the top genius of our generation. Kong Tian merely returned a subtle nod. Chen Kai smiled in a calm, carefree manner. A ripple of expectation moved through the crowd. The proud scholarly youth stepped forward, back straight and expression composed. He placed his hand on the jade totem. He made a quick, barely perceptible strike, precise, fluid, and controlled. His technique resembled the brushstroke of a master painter, elegant and effortless. A moment later, 7 bands of light appeared in succession. Chen Kai, age 12, 7th level of body tempering. The crowd erupted in scattered cheers. A genius as expected of the Chen clan. He's even younger than Kong Tian. Chen Wei, patriarch of the Chen clan, gave a proud nod from his seat, but said nothing. Head instructor Fang Duan gazed at Chen Kai. I guess this young master from the Chen is more than just a knowledgeable brat. Next, Fang Hong, the instructor shouted. A youth in stylish blue robes, bearing a family crest, approached the stage. He had a rugged appearance that did not belong to a child. He got into a fight stance and landed a solid punch. Crack-ack. The totem's first section lit up, but quickly stopped at the 4th level. 4th stage body tempering, age 13, the instructor announced. The crowd didn't react. More accurately, they didn't dare. The current batch of martial artists from the Fang clan is lacking, whispered someone in the audience. Quiet. Do you want the Fang clan to hear you? Rebuked a member in the audience. The members of the Fang clan all had long faces. An elder sighed. They can't all be as talented as Fang Longwei from 2 years ago. Next, Fang Zhu. A handsome and arrogant-looking youth approached the stage. He had spiked hair, giving off a rebellious aura. The crowd looked with anticipation. These tests can be an indicator of who will rise the most between the great families in the future. How what? Fang Zhu shouted as he kicked the totem. 5 lights lit up a moment later. The 5th stage of body tempering at age 13, the announcer shouted. The crowd all sighed in unison. The results were good, but for a top noble family, they felt lacking. Maybe if Fang Zhu were 12, like Bai Yin of the Bai clan, he might have been considered impressive, but he's already 13. Next, Wu Long, the announcer shouted. A tall, skinny youth with plain grey robes approached the totem. His short, styled, black hair gave him an earthly appearance. First art, 7th layer palm strike. Boom! The totem hummed as 6 layers lit up. 6th level of body tempering, age 13, the announcer shouted. The audience was shocked. A muscular man who wore a tattered weaponsmith robe nodded his head in pride toward the young Wu Long. 6th level at age 13 isn't bad. Look at his robes. He's clearly from a commoner background. The year of the commoners, a shopkeeper shouted, tone dripping with pride. Wu Long cupped his hand at the instructor and smiled toward the blacksmith in the crowd like a proud son. One by one, the remaining students took the platform. Most scored between the 2nd and 4th stages of body tempering. The average age was 12 to 14, making Kong Ming the youngest at 11. It was common practice to let children's bodies naturally develop before beginning physical cultivation. Rushing cultivation during their early growing years often led to dangerous complications later in life. To avoid those risks, most families wait until their children are 12 before beginning physical training. Senior Fang clapped his hands. silencing the crowd. "The top 10 will remain under my instruction," Instructor Fang announced. "Their names will be recorded in the school's seasonal scroll of generational talents." Instructor Fang just realized he forgot someone. "Kong Ming!" Fang Duan called. The courtyard fell quiet again, this time with a sharper edge. Random members in the audience whispered, "Do they really expect a cripple to take the test?" "I bet 500 silver coins he won't reach the totem." Kong Ming took a deep breath, eyes sharp with determination and a hint of desperation. Kong Tian clenched his fists, concerned for his brother. "Don't be afraid. Big Brother has your back," Kong Tian said inwardly. Kong Ming approached the jade totem slowly. Each step felt like a test. He swallowed hard, fragile legs dragging slightly, cane wobbling in his hand from fatigue as he tried to walk with pride. He took a deep breath, raised his hand to strike the totem, and tripped. His foot caught on the edge of a stone. He stumbled. With a muffled gasp, he fell forward, barely catching himself with his hands before his face hit the dirt. The totem remained untouched, its glow unchanged, silent. A beat passed. Then came the laughter. "He didn't even touch it. Just go home already, cripple. Trying to keep up with his brother? Ha!" Kong Ming didn't move. His fists clenched in the dirt, his teeth ground together in silent fury. But before he could speak, the air changed. A wave of killing intent swept the courtyard like a blade through silk. Kong Tian stood still, unmoving, but his eyes, those eyes, burned with deadly promise. The students closest to him stepped back instinctively, jaws clamped shut. Laughter died on trembling lips. Not another word was said. Instructor Fang clapped his hands sharply. "That concludes the entrance ceremony. We will now announce the top 10 scores from the physical exam." 10th place, Chen Yuan, age 14, 4th stage body tempering, 9th place. Lu Gishan, age 13, 4th stage. Body tempering, 8th place. Fang Hong of the Fang clan, age 13, 4th stage body tempering, 7th place. Bai Lian of the Bai clan, age 14, 5th stage body tempering, 6th place. Chen Yue of the Chen clan, age 14, 5th stage body tempering, 5th place. Fang Zhu of the Fang clan, age 13, 5th stage body tempering, 4th place. Wu Long, age 13, 6th stage body tempering. 3rd place, Bai Yuyin, top genius of the Bai clan, age 12, 6th stage body tempering. 2nd place, Chen Kai, top genius, Chen clan, age 12, 7th stage body tempering. 1st place, Kong Tian, age 13, 9th stage body tempering. The crowd roared in disbelief. In a high tower overlooking the courtyard, a noble young lady watched through a narrow window. A slow, playful smirk appeared on her face. "Interesting. Young miss," an old attendant beside her said. "A small town like Iron Root producing a 9th stage genius is rare. But more importantly, if my senses are correct, he holds a very powerful, dormant bloodline." The young lady said nothing, only continued watching with amusement. In a dark room in the Martial Academy, 2 silhouettes carried a foreboding expression. A masked man with an imposing and sinister aura can be seen. "Didn't you say Chen Kai was going to be this year's elite student, heading into the cloud seeking sect trials?" he said coldly. A nobleman in luxurious orange robes nodded his head. "The Dark Guild has nothing to worry about. I do admit that Kong Brat is talented, but he has no background to speak of. I have faith that the talent of our top genius Chen Kai isn't the least bit inferior." Chen Wei paused. "I am also considering recruiting the youth into the clan." The masked man nodded. "It would be good if we could recruit such a talent into the Dark Guild. What would you do if the Kong Brat refuses?" Chen Wei smiled. An unfettered dragon must remain chained. A malicious light gleamed in his eyes, or they must be smashed as an egg. Due to a never-before-seen upheaval in this generation's exam expectations, a chaotic undercurrent began to move in Iron Root Town. While a new generation enjoys the limelight, the forces of darkness are actively at work. Back in the training courtyard, the spectating villagers and nobles discussed the exam results fervently. Fang Duan clapped, getting the attention of the crowd. "That concludes the public entrance exam," Fang Duan shouted, signaling the spectators to leave. "I'll now announce the groups for this year's 200 students. Your groups will affect your placement in lectures and future exams." Group A housed the highest-performing students, Kong Tian, Bai Yuyin, and Chen Kai, and others in the top 50. The weakest in the top 50 were 15-year-olds, fourth stage body tempering, and the strongest was Kong Tian, who was 13 years old and at the 9th stage. Groups B and C held average performers. Most were in the 2nd to 4th stages of body tempering. Group D was the weakest. Most are in the 1st and 2nd stages of body tempering. It was there that Kong Ming had been placed. "Now, all of you follow me to the lecture halls." Later that day, lecture hall. The students sat cross-legged on woven mats. The scent of incense drifted through the air as head instructor Fang Duan stood before a chalk-covered stone wall. "Today, you begin to understand what it truly means to walk the martial path." He drew 4 symbols on the stone. Body tempering realm. This is your current stage. This stage is crucial for your cultivation journey. Here, you set the foundation through refinement of your bones, flesh, muscle, and meridians. 36 meridians that must be opened to become a spirit apprentice. Each meridian gives you access to physical energy called physical qi. Some martial artists call the body tempering realm the body refinement realm. If you brats have some minor talent, you should be able to reach the peak of this realm, given enough hard work and training. Lady Bai Yuyin's eyes narrowed. "I didn't think there would be someone other than Chen Kai ahead of me in the rankings." She glanced at Kong Tian. "The world is truly vast. A low-born youth in rags is beating me. I truly am laughable." Her inner thoughts didn't change the cold, stoic face she presented in the lecture hall as Fang Duan continued his explanation. "Next," Fang Duan pointed, "Spirit Apprentice Realm. This is when spiritual qi begins to circulate freely inside your dantian. Spiritual qi, also known as spiritual energy, pervades the heavens. It emanates from the sun and moon. Once you become a spiritual apprentice, you can actively absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and store it in your dantian." A breeze slowly began to pick up in the room as head instructor Fang began rapidly absorbing energy into his abdomen, demonstrating the energy absorption abilities of all cultivators who enter the spirit realm. Think of your dantian as a fuel tank for spiritual qi. Once you reach the spirit apprentice realm, we will hold an examination. This examination helps you discover your attributes and identify the cultivation techniques that suit your physique. Often, those of you with family bloodlines will begin to awaken in the spirit apprentice realm. Bloodlines are usually found in people of noble birth, but some commoners can awaken a bloodline as well. A student raised his hand. The instructor glanced at them and permitted them to speak. The student nervously asked, "Why do nobles have bloodlines but commoners don't?" "Aren't we both humans?" The students of noble families sneered. The instructor smiled. "You're partially correct. Nobles used to have a different meaning in ancient times than the meaning it has today. Most people associate wealthy families with nobles, but the term initially referred to inherited talent through blood. Nobles are descendants of cultivators who reached a high realm. Only when a cultivator gives birth in that realm would their talents and bloodline traits be passed down. That's why people without family legacies can still have a bloodline, even if they don't know its origin. "Do you understand?" the instructor said. The student nodded in dissatisfaction. "After breaking through the spirit apprentice realm, you'll reach the spirit warrior realm." He drew a poorly made stick figure on the board of a person with a circle around them. "Spirit warrior realm. Your body and ki start to become one, and martial techniques take on power beyond mortal limits." People who reach this realm have a lifespan of around 150 years. A malicious light gleamed in his eyes. Or they must be smashed as an egg. Due to a never-before-seen upheaval in this generation's exam expectations, a chaotic undercurrent began to move in Iron Root Town. While a new generation enjoys the limelight, the forces of darkness are actively at work. Back in the training courtyard, the spectating villagers and nobles discussed the exam results fervently. Fang Duan clapped, getting the attention of the crowd. "That concludes the public entrance exam," Fang Duan shouted, signaling the spectators to leave. "I'll now announce the groups for this year's 200 students. Your groups will affect your placement in lectures and future exams." Group A housed the highest performing students, Kong Tian, Bai Yuyin, and Chen Kai, and others in the top 50. The weakest in the top 50 were 15-year-olds, fourth stage body tempering, and the strongest was Kong Tian, who was 13 years old and at the 9th stage. Groups B and C held average performers. Most were in the 2nd to 4th stages of body tempering. Group D was the weakest. Most are in the 1st and 2nd stages of body tempering. It was there that Kong Ming had been placed. "Now, all of you follow me to the lecture halls." Later that day, lecture hall. The students sat cross-legged on woven mats. The scent of incense drifted through the air as head instructor Fang Duan stood before a chalk-covered stone wall. "Today, you begin to understand what it truly means to walk the martial path." He drew 4 symbols on the stone. Body tempering realm. This is your current stage. This stage is crucial for your cultivation journey. Here, you set the foundation through refinement of your bones, flesh, muscle, and meridians. 36 meridians that must be opened to become a spirit apprentice. Each meridian gives you access to physical energy called physical chi. Some martial artists call the body tempering realm the body refinement realm. If you brats have some minor talent, you should be able to reach the peak of this realm, given enough hard work and training. Lady Bai Yuyin's eyes narrowed. "I didn't think there would be someone other than Chen Kai ahead of me in the rankings." She glanced at Kong Tian. "The world is truly vast. A low-born youth in rags is beating me. I truly am laughable." Her inner thoughts didn't change the cold, stoic face she presented in the lecture hall as Fang Duan continued his explanation. "Next," Fang Duan pointed, "Spirit Apprentice Realm." This is when spiritual qi begins to circulate freely inside your dantian. Spiritual qi, also known as spiritual energy, pervades the heavens. It emanates from the sun and moon. Once you become a spiritual apprentice, you can actively absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and store it in your dantian. A breeze slowly began to pick up in the room as head instructor Fang began rapidly absorbing energy into his abdomen, demonstrating the energy absorption abilities of all cultivators who enter the spirit realm. Think of your dantian as a fuel tank for spiritual ki. Once you reach the spirit apprentice realm, we will hold an examination. This examination helps you discover your attributes and identify the cultivation techniques that suit your physique. Often, those of you with family bloodlines will begin to awaken in the spirit apprentice realm. Bloodlines are usually found in people of noble birth, but some commoners can awaken a bloodline as well. A student raised his hand. The instructor glanced at them and permitted them to speak. The student nervously asked, "Why do nobles have bloodlines but commoners don't?" "Aren't we both humans?" The students of noble families sneered. The instructor smiled. "You're partially correct. Nobles used to have a different meaning in ancient times than the meaning it has today. Most people associate wealthy families with nobles, but the term initially referred to inherited talent through blood. Nobles are descendants of cultivators who reached a high realm. Only when a cultivator gives birth in that realm would their talents and bloodline traits be passed down. That's why people without family legacies can still have a bloodline, even if they don't know its origin. "Do you understand?" the instructor said. The student nodded in dissatisfaction. "After breaking through the spirit apprentice realm, you'll reach the spirit warrior realm." He drew a poorly made stick figure on the board of a person with a circle around them. "Spirit warrior realm. Your body and ki start to become one, and martial techniques take on power beyond mortal limits." People who reach this realm have a lifespan of around 150 years. Spirit warriors' chi, when released, can appear visible, similar to a thick mist in the air. The color depends on your attributes. "Most of you ants will never reach this next realm," he laughed, "but I will tell you about it anyway. After the spirit warrior, you'll enter the spirit lord realm." The student's eyes widened with excitement and respect in their eyes. Spirit lords, the true powerhouses of the Iron Kingdom. In this realm, you can manifest the ki out of your body with just a thought. Your ki density is in semi-liquid form, and your body has a natural ki defensive outer layer. Once you're in this realm, you are capable of using divine sense. Divine sense is a technique that allows one to perceive their surroundings within a certain area around them without using their eyes. Fang Duan paused before continuing to write. "I'll state this realm because even ants should have ambition. After Spirit Lord is Spirit Master. This realm isn't achieved by simple hard work, but is unlocked only to those who genuinely have a talent for comprehending the martial Tao. Spirit Master realm is the realm of those standing at the peak of the Iron Kingdom, and you'll be considered a powerhouse in most of the seventh heaven. You are no longer bound by the earth and are able to use spiritual energy to fly. You can easily exude chi outside of your body and manifest spirit ki in liquid form, and it is far denser than the previous stages. Spirit masters no longer need to eat, drink, or sleep. As long as there's spiritual energy to absorb, they can survive. They are spiritual beings, in the literal sense. Their lifespans can easily extend beyond 800 years if they avoid vitality loss from certain techniques. The realms higher than that are for those who live to see it. Gasps filled the room. "Spirit Master? Like in the old tales?" the students murmured to each other in quiet tones. "But the world is dangerous," Senior Fang continued. "Enemy cultivators, demonic sects, and most importantly, demon beasts roam beyond the town walls." He then wrote a second list. Demon beast ranks. Mortal beast is comparable to a body-tempering cultivator. Spirit beast matches a spirit apprentice. Warrior beast, on par with a spirit warrior. Fan Duan paused. then began drawing a large, intimidating creature on the board. The students' cheeks puffed as they desperately withheld their laughter at Instructor Duan's doodle. Beast Lord equals a spirit lord. If you're part of the unfortunate bunch to see one, then please greet my ancestors for me, because you'll be seeing them soon. Pretty simple, he exclaimed while pointing to his poorly drawn doodle. He took a deep breath and rubbed his chin as if he were thinking deeply. I only heard of this next stage in books. They're known as Enlightened Beast, and they are demon beasts capable of possessing human levels of intelligence, some even higher, and are usually able to talk. Their strength is on par with spirit masters, and most can fly at this level. Some beasts are enlightened from birth, depending on their bloodline. Study these stages so you know who you can and can't offend. It will save your life one day. Kong Tian's fist tightened from excitement. There is such a vast world out there. I can't wait to explore it with Minga. Maybe we can find out what happened to our parents, he thought inwardly. That concludes today's lecture, Head Instructor Fang Duan said while stretching his arms lazily. Until you can match a rank 9 mortal beast, do not set foot beyond Ironroot Town's territory unless you're tired of living. The kid's face turned grave. They nodded their heads before getting up and leaving. That night at the old courtyard. Moonlight draped the old courtyard like a silvery blanket. Kong Tian snored softly inside, exhausted from the day's trials. Kong Ming lay in bed, staring at his open palms. Useless cripple, that's what they called him. And today, for the first time, he believed it. He slowly pushed the tattered sheets aside and slipped out into the night. He used his cane to hobble to the stream near the edge of their courtyard. There, beneath the cold stars, he fell to his knees. Heaven, he whispered, voice cracking. What did I do wrong? Tears rolled down his cheeks and splashed into the stream. I just want to stand beside my brother, not behind him. Memories of the crowd laughing at him falling during the totem test surfaced in his head. Damn it! He clenched his fists until they trembled. I don't care what the heavens decided. I'll change it. I will show all who mocked me my wrath in the future. His voice rose. From tonight forward, I will not waste another moment. Even if my body breaks, even if I die from the pain, I will overcome this. He began to train. He used branches as supports for his legs, forcing his noodle-like limbs through shaky squats. He pushed his arms, his breath, and his will until his muscles bled and his lungs burned. Every night, in secret, he returned to that stream. There, a boy battled his fate. The stream carried his whispered vow into the night, and unseen by all, a faint wind stirred the water, as if heaven itself had heard him. To be continued. Thank you for checking out my novel. All feedback is welcomed. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to not miss the next upload. Until next time, cheers.